If you're working with clients and you're wanting to see true long-lasting transformation, then please stick around for the next couple of minutes because I'm going to take you through exactly how we teach that here at the Center for Healing. And I'm also going to show you the flow chart of exactly how we teach people to run a session. So, when someone comes in, a client comes in and seeks our help, it's because they're experiencing some sort of dysfunctional behavior and dysfunctional thought patterns in their life that they're experiencing in that moment. As a practitioner, there's one of two things that we can do in that moment. Number one is we can give a strategy. We can help them employ conscious willpower, or we can teach them to be overly positive about their situation and their past, all of which may offer temporary relief to that person, but it's not going to create true long-lasting change. The other option we have is to get to the root cause, get to the reasons that underlie the underlying drivers behind the dysfunctional behavior and the thought patterns in order for them to be free for good. So let me explain how that works. As we move through life as a human being, we encounter certain situations, certain events in our life that we are unable to process. They leave a mark. Instead of coming in and moving through us, they stay with us. And some of these really strong, really heavy events leave such a long-lasting impact that they greatly shape the way that we interact with ourselves and the way we interact with the world. To get a little bit more granular, we'll go through an experience or a set of experiences in our life where we will engage our survival mechanism. Our nervous system will detect a threat in our environment and it will go into a certain state which it deems is best to deal with that situation for our survival. You may have heard of the terms of fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. These are the states that our nervous system may go into in order to deal with whatever the threat is. Ideally, these nervous system states get to complete themselves and move through, but as human beings, we're certainly not taught how to do that, so many of them remain incomplete. Along with that nervous system state, we have a lot of emotional energy in these situations, in these events in our life. We can have extreme experiences of guilt, shame, anger, fear, sadness, or hurt, or a combination of those. And those emotions, to a large degree, remain unprocessed. Okay, they don't move through the system as I was talking about. So we have an incomplete survival response and unprocessed emotions happening within the system. There's two reasons why that happens. Number one, we don't have the capacity in ourselves at that time to be able to complete and process. And oftentimes that's just because A, we don't have the knowledge and understanding, we weren't taught these things. But number two, we're oftentimes young. We're a little kid a lot of the times in these events, and we certainly don't have the faculties to process. The second reason is that we don't have the external resources to help us complete and process. And that's normally an attuned, regulated adult, normally a caregiver, who can help hold us through those experiences, help us process, help us complete, and help us take that big, deep breath that lets us know that the event's over. And so when we don't have those two things in place, what can happen is we then start to create some painful narratives, some belief systems in order, as an unconscious attempt to try and protect ourselves from that day forward. And those beliefs have many very different voices. I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I don't deserve to be happy, I can't trust anyone, I can't trust myself. There's a very, very big list of them. That incomplete survival response, the unprocessed emotions, and the resulting painful narratives or belief systems are what create our dysfunctional behaviors and dysfunctional thought patterns, oftentimes years or decades into the future. So when we are dealing with the client in front of us and wanting to make true long-lasting change, we need to address these events in our life where something has left a mark, an imprint, a wound, something that needs to be gone back and addressed. I'm going to bring up our flow chart of embodied processing, the somatic modality that we teach here at the Center for Healing, and go through it very, very briefly. I don't want to take up too much of your time, and I'm trying to distill a 100-hour-long training into a couple of minutes, but bear with me. Once we are working with a client and we have determined what's going to be worked on in that session, then we can start to jump into what we call resourcing. Resourcing is where we help a client create some sort of sense of safety, and if not safety, at the very least neutrality within their felt sense, within their body and what it feels like to be them in that moment. Somebody who's been through a lot of imprints, a lot of trauma, coming in for session, they may not have felt safe in their body for a very, 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 very long time. So part of our role as a practitioner is to help them, and oftentimes over time, help them feel more and more safe in their body. If it's only for a few brief moments, that's better than not at all. And we have many different techniques of being able to do that. From that place of safety, from that foundation, as we call it, we can start to explore what is being worked on in that session. We can start to explore, oftentimes working with a client, it's things that are happening in their life today. It could be issues they're having with their partner or with their family, or a situation at work, or a terrible relationship with money, or a reliance on drugs or alcohol. We start there, and as we explore, we start to uncover the roots of what's going on. As I said earlier, the dysfunction in our life at the minute, 99% of the time, has very, very deep roots into our past. Once we start to explore and work out what the origins of this current dysfunction might be, then we start to explore, and one thing that we use in embodied processing, and we come back to time and time and time again, is the felt sense. What's happening in our body, not just what's happening in the mind. Oftentimes we try and think our way out of a lot of problems, and it doesn't get us anywhere, it only gets us further away from where we want to be. Once we start to uncover the origins of this dysfunction and these thought patterns and the beliefs that underlie it, we can start to do some processing, and there's various different processing techniques that we teach to be able to safely meet that emotional energy and that nervous system energy within the body. And all the techniques that we teach, and any effective ones that any modality uses, is one where we can safely, with a safe guide and from a resourced place, turn towards the uncomfortable emotions that we've experienced in the past and not away from them. Our natural inclination, and this is part of the programming of growing up, is to turn away from, dissociate from, distract from, numb from all of the uncomfortable sensations in our body. Okay? Part of this process is really helping someone learn and realize they're much more capable than what they realize of really being present with and attuned to a lot of these so-called uncomfortable experiences in their body. We then have techniques where we teach how to work with those nervous system states. There's different ways that we can help complete a flight response, a fight response, a fawn response, a freeze response, and they're all different, but there's ways that we can do that. So you can see as we're moving through here, we're taking the dysfunctional thoughts and behaviors, we're working out the underlying beliefs that drive them, and then we're starting to work out when were those beliefs created, in what events do we have the unprocessed emotional energy and the incomplete nervous system survival responses, and then we're backtracking from there and starting to process and complete in order to then remove and shift those beliefs and let them fall away, which in turn addresses the thoughts and the behaviors. This is why we call EP the bottom-up approach. It's not so much, I'm sure there's some top-down processing happening, but it's really trying to get to the underneath, the underlying drivers there. So we've got obviously finding, resolution, and completion. I mean, this is a lot to take in, but this is the flow chart of how we run a session. If you would like more information, like I said, I've distilled a 100-hour-long training into a couple of minutes. Please click the link above or below to get all the information on the training. There's also an hour and 15-minute pre-training if you would like to take that, or any questions, just email support@thecenterforhealing.com.au. And if this is a training you would like to engage with, then from both myself, Matt, Noel, our senior practitioners, and everyone in the community, we can't wait to see you in the training.